Good evening, this is the Rajdhani channel of All India Radio Delhi, broadcasting on medium wave 450.5 meters corresponding to 666 kilohertz. Welcome to the evening transmission. Sanj Dhale. We begin this transmission with comments from the press.
This is All India Radio. You will now hear comments from the press. The Tribune, in its editorial titled Divisive Discourse, says the Kolkata violence and the unprecedented curtailment of campaigning in West Bengal have emerged as the defining moments of the 2019 Lok Sabha poll battle, which will be remembered mostly for the wrong reasons, irrespective of which parties forms the next government. Over the past 6 weeks, electioneering has been vituperative as well as vindictive. The level of the discourse has culminated to new lows, with decorum and restraint being conspicuous by their absence. Chor, Gunda and Dhokebaj are some of the milder names top leaders have called each other. The clashes between supporters of the Trinamool Congress TMC and the BJP on Tuesday night laid bare the alarming extent of polarization in West Bengal. The thin winner of civilized campaigning was ripped apart when a bunch of goons, no matter which party they belonged to, smashed a bust of social reformer Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, and that too on the campus of a college that bears his exalted name. Adding insult to injury, rival groups are now busy appropriating the legacy of the starring figure of Bengali Renaissance. PM Modi has announced that a grand statue of Vidyasagar would be installed at the same spot to give a befitting reply to TMC workers, not the one to mince words. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee says her state has enough resources to rebuild the bust and doesn't need the BJP's money for the purpose. West Bengal is a prestige turf for the BJP, which is going all out to upset the TMC apple cart. The Business Standard, in its editorial title Export Week Again, says the official data on India's balance of trade for April has been released and it makes for disquieting reading. While exports may have grown in April as they did in March, February and January, growth was barely there at 0.64%. It was the lowest year-on-year growth in exports seen so far this calendar year. While the numbers themselves may not be disquieting, the worry is that what appeared to be a modest revival in exports does not appear to be sustainable. Meanwhile, imports of gold shot up by as much 54% year-on-year and oil by 9.3%, driving overall imports up by 4.5%. The trade deficit correspondingly rose to a 5-month high of $15.3 billion. Examining the data more closely provides little relief on two counts. India's growth story has rested for the past year on strong consumer demand, and multiple indicators, including now non-oil, non-gold imports, suggest this story has run its course. The Times of India, in its editorial title Art of the Deal, says tension between US and Iran has increased over the last few days. The former tightened its unilateral economic sanctions on Iran to cover merchandise exports other than oil. Subsequently, the US also bolstered its military presence in West Asia based on questionable intelligence inputs. Saudi Arabia is now claiming its oil industry infrastructure. Some tankers and pipelines were attacked this week. The sequence of events is ominous. The world is justified in worrying that a military build-up in the region can precipitate a crisis. Many of these developments are eerily reminiscent, in fact, of the run-up to the invasion of Iraq by US-led forces in 2003. This was based on US intelligence about Iraqi acquisition of weapons of mass destruction that was later proven to be false. The invasion precipitated a mayhem in the Middle East, the rise of Islamic State, and a massive blow to US interests. Domestic backlash to the Iraq fiasco created an aversion to military adventures abroad and continued to Donald Trump's election victory in 2016. Now, however, President Trump seems to be on the verge of repeating the mistakes of his predecessors, driven by the presence of John Bolton, a long-time advocate of forced regime change in Iran, as his national security advisor. The Indian Express, in its editorial title Targeting Vidyasagar, says Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar was no stranger to thugs in his lifetime. He dared the conservative frequently as he set out armed with formidable scholarship of the Shruti and Smriti to question oppressive social traditions of dubious ancestry. It is said that, fearing physical attacks by the custodian of tradition, his father got him a bodyguard. However, he pursued reforms like other great liberals of his time, writing pamphlets and books, building public opinion through rational debate and logical thinking, petitioning the government. He succeeded in some, one such being the legal sanction of widow remarriage. Vidyasagar's relentless